I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, been doing a little stint up there upstate with the and YouTube jail. You know what I'm saying? Hard time, man. You know, hard times. You know, got in trouble down south and shit. You know, with them boys. But yeah, man, it's Christmas. Christmas. Yeah, AKA Christmas. Yule high carols, Yule logs. You know, lights on the Christmas tree. Yeah, that's what this is about, man. Today is the day. Everybody, get your get your gifts, finally wrap boxes, toys, open them up around your Christmas tree, right? Invite all your friends and family over to participate. Special times, man. Yeah. I wish somebody come along and start a new platform like YouTube, or better than YouTube. Make it free like YouTube, but then remove all the language restrictions. You know, I thought YouTube was gonna do that, but niggas get greedy. Niggas get greedy ahead of time. YouTube could have been a great, you know, competition for YouTube. But if the creator wasn't so greedy, you know what I'm saying? If he would have waited, you know, just a little while, like 5, 10 years, YouTube would have been just like YouTube. Great competition, and all the money he wanted would have came. But greed clouds a man's vision. So long, YouTube. You know, maybe somebody else will come along and do it better. You know, YouTube has that effect on people, though. It has that effect to make people want to get more, do more. It's almost deceiving. Well, it's not almost. It is deceiving to say that YouTube, you know, became like this overnight. But it didn't. I remember YouTube came out in the early, what, 19? No, was it 2019? Probably a little bit less than that. Either way, it didn't happen overnight. YouTube didn't become an overnight sensation. You know, there was Facebook, there was all these other platforms and shit. But YouTube had something that no other people had. It had the ability to spread information, whole videos far and wide, and then store them. The biggest part about YouTube is storing your videos. You know, putting the videos out there, and I can make a website and put the videos out there. And that's what I think I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna make my videos and put them on my website. So look for that coming this year, a New Year's resolution. Like I did, like I really practiced that. But yeah, look forward to it. Put my videos out, man. That way I can say whatever I want to say, and they're gonna be free. They're not gonna be charged. It's not gonna be no, what do you call it? You know, pay pay for play, or none of that shit. It's gonna be free. You know, if you want to donate, you can donate, but nothing's obligational. You know, but listen to this shit that's going on right now on Christmas. We got the Fat Joe debacle talking about the FBAs. We have the Diddy debacle talking about the FBAs. And we also have the Jay-Z debacle talking about the FBAs. All right. But are they FBAs though? Right? A guy I look at by the name Original Lone Wolf pointed out something. That FBA is a business. It's a corporation, for entertainment purposes only. So there's no real foundation behind it, just like any other business. Viacom, BET, you know what I'm saying? Soul Train, that's FBA too, but it's all business. It's not real people. There's a lot of stuff been going around about Fat Joe and the stuff that he's saying, biting the hand that feeds him. Fat Joe is playing the script. He's doing exactly what he was told to do. That's the only way you can keep this shit going. In order to start the whole hip hop community back over, when all the major players get plucked, it's to start it with conflict. See, Fat Joe is just the start of this conflict in this very small community. Hip hop is man, it's one of the smallest communities. It's not really a big thing. There's not too many people in hip hop. There's not too many industry people in hip hop. We think hip hop is worldwide, millions of people, but it's not. It's a few motherfuckers in there. And you see, my point is proven when they make such a big fuss about individuals. Hip hop's supposed to be a whole movement for people, not individuals in hip hop. How does Fat Joe cause a ripple in the pond of hip hop if he's just one of hundreds, if not thousands, of participants? And then Fat Joe ain't even making music no more. Why are we worried about this dude? See, it's all part of the scheme. He ain't got no talent no more because he's played out. Because really, to tell you the truth, he was catering to a certain group anyway. He was catering to the Hispanic group, trying to bring a people that didn't have anything to do with this form of entertainment into the fold. And still, Hispanics, they still don't rock with hip hop. They still got their own cultural type music that they listen to. Understandable. Understandable. But what's not understandable? Why is this happening right now with Diddy and Jay-Z on the fritz? Are we seeing a push for a regime change? If Jay-Z and P. Diddy were the biggest pushers of hip hop in society, now those seats are vacant down there. Those seats are up for grabs. And I think Big Joe is jockeying for one of the positions. That's why he's going through so much, trouble to point out the fact is that he has legitimacy in hip hop. Man, people can shut that shit down right now. They can shut it down right now. Let three prominent YouTubers come out and say hip hop is not what it used to be, and we're moving on to something else. Three prominent ones, and there's three of them out there, and say that Fat Joe can have hip hop. We'll create something else, because that's what's gonna happen. Hip hop today is gonna turn into something else for the new generation, for my grandkids. They're prepping for my grandkids new form of entertainment that's gonna lock them in. It can't be the old shit because we see how old shit get done. All it takes is two generations to like something, and the third generation is gonna hate it. This is how it works. And this is just the way humans work. Things that are revered and admired for long periods of time eventually get hated and despised. So this is the term for hip hop, to get hated and despised, but not just yet. They got one more trick up their sleeve. Because see, if they didn't, if this wasn't about a regime change, if it was about a new class of music coming out, a destruction of the old, a creation of the new, then guess what? I would be dead right now. Can't happen until everybody in my generation dies. You can't see that? All the music, the baby boomers, used to listen to. Once the last baby boomer died, they start cutting that shit out. Only the selective musics from the past where the baby boomers were around actually exist. All that other stuff, and all the baby boomers died, they packed it in a casket with them and buried it. Same thing's about to happen for Gen Z when they get ready to move this legacy of entertainment forward to the next generation. We're going to see a big shift and deception and despising of the old. It's the only way it worked. In the Roman Colosseums, right? The last entertainment they had was feeding the old legacy to the lions in the Romans and in the Egyptians. When the Egyptian Empire got ready to transform, the last thing they did was feed all the elderly freaking leadership to the masses. Turn them over to the masses so the masses can destroy them, defame them, you know, tear them up. They did the same thing in the Roman Colosseum. Threw them to the lions, out with the old, in with the new type shit. And same people that existed back then exist today. These empires didn't die off. They just changed. The only reason why, the United States has lasted for so long with this empire over 200 years, right? It's because America is such an island of plentiful, such an island of, necessity, that it's hard to get rid of something that doesn't need other people to contribute to its success. The United States doesn't need no other nation inside of America in order for it to strive and become a great empire. There were other empires in America before the United States. They call them the colonies. And you saw what happened with the colonies because at that time, people were content with being a small, independent, contracting nation inside of America because that's what they were. The 13 colonies were merchants, farmers, and what do you call it? Construction. Merchants, farmers, and builders. When they came to America, and they had just as many resources as they had overseas in Eurasia, they felt like, this might be the start of a new, empire. And they were right. All the 13 colonies did, and nobody talk about this. We think the 13 colonies came here and just built houses, farm land. That's what they did for the past 112 years that they were first starting off. You know what I'm saying? But in actuality, the 13 colonies were one of the biggest, corporations around the world. The 13 colonies were. When the 13 colonies were established, they created shipping companies, particularly for the United States, because they needed people. They needed companies that could help the United States push their products. So then you had two competing factions from both sides of the world. You had the Eurasians and you had the Americans. And the reason why the Eurasians and the Americans were at odds with each other is because they had a growing economy. The Eurasians were around way before the United States, so they had a head start on manufacturing, building, and, recycling. Because believe it or not, a lot of the stuff that the 13 colonies, used were all recycled materials from their old, corporation. So we think that these people came over here and isolated themselves from Europe, Great Britain, and all that shit. But they were just a working part of that corporation, push it into the American economy. Because see, the American economy, with its three continents all connected together by major land masses, had great trade going on until the United States came. Once the United States came, the 13 colonies were monopolized and turned into the congressionals, the congressional caucuses. Once that happened, then the United States solidified its position. And they didn't really do that until 1933, to tell you the truth, when they created a tracking system for all its employees. Back when they started tracking people as being employees of the corporation, when they first started off in 13 colonies, they didn't have that. So you can come and go. You could be a foreign agent working for the United States, and nobody would even know it. Working for the 13 colonies, nobody even know it. I mean, look at Paul Revere. That story about Paul Revere was about, them recognizing that they were infiltrated by and espionage was being used against them by Great Britain. It wasn't no physical war. These people ain't fighting physical wars. That's for the peasants. That's for the lowly people. The war was actually corporate. And when America came along and sealed up some of those holes, those gaps, that's when the real war started. We've been fighting a corporate war since 1776. We've been fighting that with the Eurasians since 1776. But they make it seem like, we've been fighting a physical war for freedom. You know what buys freedom? I just said it. You know what makes freedom so desirable? Wealth, because wealth buys freedom. You're free to say whatever you want to say, but can you put any actions behind it? Not without money, you can't. You can't put no actions behind what you say without money. And this is the reason why the United States values freedom, because it's so wealthy. All these other countries too, they value it as well. But since they don't have a group of people that will stand against, the opposite of freedom, then they don't really have a force to use with this propaganda that they've been using. The propaganda that they've been using is actually something that we've always used. The imagination. They give you these stories to imagine so you can figure it out for yourself. But 9 times out of 10, with limited information, you're not going to figure that shit out. You're not going to figure it out. So guess what? Whoever's making the most noise, have the most information to push, you're going to believe them. Because, hey, with quantity, right? With quantity comes a lot of shit, especially progression. So the more you have, the more you're believable, the more trustworthy you seem. But we started all of this shit with hip hop so we can have an alternative voice that could be reached, that can be pushed around the entire world. You had people talking, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. If you look at Martin Luther King's speech and Malcolm X's speech, it's like rap lyrics. All of these guys were hip hopsters. They didn't even know it before hip hop became a thing. Now they're trying to destroy it to create something else. They thought trap music was going to be the new creation. But see, trap music creates an environment of hostility, and there's a lot to be said about losing half your clientele to violence created by the people that you're trying to push. So hip hop is going out the door. They're just trying to find an easy way to do that for the next generation, for the Gen X's grandkids generation. They're gonna get rid of Motown and all that. All that shit's gonna fade away. All of that Motown, blues, rhythm. They're gonna create a whole new genre of music that everybody looks up to. Right now, hip hop is the biggest one. That should tell you how big this industry is, because hip hop is really small. You know, hip hop is not that big. There's not that many members in hip hop. Just like in Motown, there wasn't that many people in Motown, but they pushed a big message at that time because so many people admired them for their talent. Now you don't need talent. Now you can go on Chat GPT, tell Chat GPT write you a rhyme, and that shit could be a hit, depending on who put it out. It ain't about if you got talent no more. It wasn't about back then if you had talent, because there was a lot of people that could sing, that could write poetry. It's about who you knew, who could push this shit. Now, since we got AI, since we got all of these computers connected to each other, man, they can push anything they want to us. And if you don't have the proper discernment, then you could be deceived big time. You can be put out there as a target and not even know it. Look at these guys, these low-level guys that's getting killed. These low-level hip hopsters that's getting killed. Man, these guys are just, they right off the street. I mean, first time being a millionaire, none of them been in the industry more than 5 years. You got the ones that's in there for 10, 15, 20 years. Them the ones you should be watching. I mean, how you in the industry all of these years, everybody dying around you, and you ain't got nothing to do with it. Come on now. I know people done paid attention to all these movies that they revere, that they, use as real information. This is your chance to figure it out. All you people that quote movies and quote music and quote all of this stuff, make it reality. That's what they playing off of. They playing off of that shit. They playing off of your ability to turn just a simple conversation into a life-changing event. They playing off of that. So when we move into the next era, it's going to take most, if not all, of Gen Z to be gone in the first place. So I'm telling you, Gen Zers, watch out, man, because they've already put it out that they want us gone. They want us out of the picture. And you know why? It's because we're holding up progress. We're still talking about shit that happened in the 60s and the 50s, in the 70s. And we're still, fighting over shit like racism and slavery. They don't want this no more. They don't want, look, the next generation after Gen X, they don't want to hear that shit no more. And rightfully so. And this is why we have to go. Because there's too many of us that's still caught up in that shit, still expecting, something to come from all this old talk when ain't nothing coming from it. Ain't nothing coming from this shit, man. We had our opportunity. It's time to move out the way and let them have theirs. And I think that's what's holding people back. And I hate to say it, because I'm one of those people that's going to be in that chopping list. But, I'm willing to move out the way. You ain't got to swing at me. I'm willing to move out the way. And it's going to become more of a necessity to be private. It's not, man, it's going to be so hard to be private in the future. And the reason why I'm saying it is because that's the only way Gen Zs, Gen X are going to survive, is to be a private class of citizenry. It's like this. When everybody comes to the center of town to speak their voice, if you don't want to be targeted because of your opposition to the conversation, just shut up. Because I'm telling you, they're gonna be beheading people at the town square if you don't follow the norms. If you don't pay attention to what's going on, they are in the mood to crucify opposition. They're not going to let you say or speak against them if they have the power of the masses. And the internet is becoming just like that. You're going to be crucified if you stand in the way of this wave. of, of destruction that's coming, because everything that used to be is going to be taken out of the picture because they don't want it no more. Once they find out that 90% of the racism and all this shit that was pushed was entertainment to make people, accept the old ways. I mean, come on. Who would talk about themselves to the point where, they are looked at as being, an impoverished community, to the point where they have nothing? They've been telling black people all these years that they've been in America, in the United States, that they've been less than. We've been telling it and teaching it to ourselves. We've been less than, right? Well, they ain't never tell people, when were we going to stop being this? And the reason being is because it could have stopped a long time ago. All they had to do was come forward and say that was a time that we didn't fucking, live, and that we created in order to push a narrative. They could have came forward and said that. Now it's going to take an explosion of reality to make this shit happen. Because I'm telling you, man, these people are not going to sit back and allow the old to continue. Hip hop is being destroyed right now from the inside out. And we think that it's just them cleaning out the old nasty motherfuckers and bringing in some new blood. But what we don't realize is, what are they working with? Back in the day, they pushed their messages with turntables, speakers, and records. Today, what are they pushing their music with? A little bit of nothing. It took people with skills back then to push the message, to make that scratching on the fucking record sound good, to make that beating on a drum and all that stuff to come together and make sense. Now they don't need to do that. You don't even have no talent at all. None at all. To make music that affects people. All you gotta do is have somebody to push it. If you haven't recognized the doors that are closed on the internet, as well as the doors that were closed in hip hop, they're very similar, man. They're very similar. The same barriers that people had from going into the industry of hip hop, well, music industry, period, are they exist today on the internet. Check it out. You couldn't join the conglomerate, the music industry, Motown, all these other these record labels, unless what? They picked you. Same shit today. You can't really sell big money unless you got somebody behind. You can't really sell big records unless somebody behind you on the internet is pushing you. One of these giant corporations, these industries on the internet. We have taken everything physical and made it digital, and ain't even realized that we just narrowed the passage for people that have talent to move into influential positions. We narrowed the passage by doing that. The internet was supposed to be free for everybody. I remember when the internet first came out, it was like the World Wide Web. How have we been able to contact the world with the internet when we don't have freedom to do it? Yeah, you get to experience other nations and people from these nations through controlled platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. But there's no real freedom. You can't contact these people and say what you want. Everything's being recorded that's going out of our nation and going out of their nations. And what's coming in and what's coming in on their side too. There's no real freedom in the internet at all. You talking about the Gestapo for the Jews? Man, the internet has become like the Gestapo to the 100,000th power. You can't put anything on the internet without it being tracked, without it being recorded. Conversations we're having right now, everything's being recorded. There's nothing that's free on the internet. No freedom on the internet at all. And the reason why that happens like that is because we allow this shit to happen. When they took the internet off of those discs, those AOL, some of you guys don't remember this. When they created the AOL, and they said that AOL was one of those things that was gonna create a whole new way of connecting and communicating. They didn't make sure that there was like an escape route. What they did was everybody that tapped into AOL, we were free to tap in and get off the internet anonymously without nobody even knowing. That's what those discs were. Those discs were like mini servers. They figured out if we kept the servers and didn't allow people to use them. Let me start over. Those AOL discs, believe it or not, were internet servers. I don't know if I talked about this before, but those AOL discs that they passed out back in the day were supposed to be permanent, reusable, meaning that nobody can track your server without having access to that disk. So the first AOL discs were unlimited. You can get on the internet for free for 100,000 hours. It didn't matter. And then slowly but surely they started giving out discs, for like 2, 3. We were supposed to recharge those discs just like we did the rechargeable phone cards back in the day from AT&T. There's not too many people that remember that. The rechargeable phone cards from AT&T, right, was money put on a card like a credit card, right, in the form of electronic credits. So those electronic credits, once you use them, you can pay into them and get them recharged. You replenish the amount, and it was an endless amount. You had some people that had thousands of dollars on their AT&T cards. And the reason why I know this is because I found the AT&T card one time, returned it to the owner, and he said, "Man, thank you." He gave me $10 for giving it back to him. But when he told me why he was so grateful, he had paid $1,000, over $1,000. He had over $1,000 of credits on that card for him to call home and shit. It was like he took one of his paychecks and paid all that money onto an AT&T card so he can call home without having to worry about it. When he lost that card, he lost all that money, right? So just like those AT&T cards, you could re-up them. We were supposed to do the same thing with those AOL cards, American Online, and those were our what we call servers. If you don't believe me, look what they're doing today with Bitcoin and those blockchains. Guess what a blockchain is? It ain't nothing but a CD with recordings on it. That's all it is. But instead of you having it, they store it on their servers. Guess what you can do to have your own privacy from that server, from everybody else's prying eyes? You can have a digital wallet. I can't make this shit up, man. Digital wallet was created to mimic the AT&T phone cards, i.e. the AOL CD-ROMs, CDs. We were supposed to keep those things. That's why they were giving them away for free. We were supposed to keep those discs and re-up those discs every time we run low on it. So there wouldn't have been no internet companies, none of this shit where you have to pay for internet and then go on the internet, join a server, use their search engines. No, all of that stuff was supposed to be private. But when they realized that they gave us something, why do you think they getting rid of discs, CDs? Why do you think they got rid of floppy disk? You know, why do you think they're getting rid of all of this shit? Anything that you're able to store and keep for yourself is private. You know, the Fourth Amendment, you know, protection of persons, properties, and papers. That includes electrical devices and fucking software and all that shit. But when it's on the internet, there's no statutes of limitations, and there's also no fucking privacy at all. There's no privacy, and there's no statute of liberty on them taking your privacy. Meaning that there's no time frame. They can take it as long as they want, whenever they want. Like we think that our information on these devices are free. We don't even own the devices. Look how they got us paying for the phones and our phone bills for months on end. And then when you get done paying for them, that's when they come out with a new one. You know, so it's never going to end the control that they have over us and our identity and our information. The only way that's going to happen is we're going to have to limit this shit. And this is all part of getting rid of the old, bringing in the new. Another thing I have to contribute to that brother, Lone Wolf, when he said that California just passed a bill about getting rid of all gas cars by 2030, right? Look, California is going to be the first state, in my opinion, that's going to have the ability to separate from the United States. Everybody thinks that Texas does. Texas is going to separate from the Union. You know, they've been doing this, they've been doing that. But believe me, Texas ain't passing no laws that's changing America. California is. Matter of fact, California is closer to separating from the Union than any state or territory in the Americas. They make rules that are totally against the Constitution that we so-called believe in. They make them against rules of nature. They make them against rules of the economy. Man, California does not care about American, culture. They don't care about the American history. They don't care about the economy of America at all. These people that are in America are far, they don't give a fuck about it. Just put it like that. The ones that are in California that's doing this, they're not from a particular region. They're not from a particular country. They could be from here, but they believe a certain type of ideology. They are waiting for the end of all of this shit to occur. The end of gender, the end of gas, the end of the weather being natural, the way that people spend their money. They're even trying to change the way that humans are created. What I mean by humans, the babies. Now they can have babies grown in incubators, and that's normal now. Silicon Valley is set up just like some of these things, these images in the movies. They're set up like that. You take an overhead view of all of this shit, you'll see that most of these movies are made up to show us this. And it's not like the movies are telling us anything from, like a prophet or anything, prophetic or anything. No, this shit's already been made. And they just trying to tell us about it. So people can be like, oh, I know what that is. And it's easier to accept it when you feel like you've already known that it's been around for years. But in actuality, that's not the case. You ain't accepting this shit. They forcing your acceptance. They forcing you to want to be part of this shit. So if you want to be free, the only way you can be free is from the thing that they told us that was going to bring us freedom. Freedom doesn't come from the internet. It doesn't come from technology. Freedom comes from dealing with how you're gonna deal with this shit, how you gonna allow it in your life. Technology, when it came forward, people didn't know what to think. We were thinking like this is gonna be something that was gonna help us, but in actuality, it hasn't helped us. There's more, there's more damage done than there is good. Look at how technology and medicine has affected us. We have more people sick today than we had throughout history. I'm talking about sick from shit that we supposed to have gotten rid of a long time ago, right? We supposed to have got rid of this shit a long time ago. But the reason why we didn't is because we were all looking for what comes next, what comes next. When we're always looking forward, we're never looking back. We don't know what they're doing with the shit that they already gave us. See? And now look what they've done. They've changed us from a people that were able to move forward in history without any freaking problems with the past to now we have a serious issue with the past. Everything is being called into question. Everything, man. Religion's being called into question. Government, the history of this nation that we call a nation was actually a corporation. All of that shit's being called into question. Why? Because now they can push whatever reality they want on us, and we can't stop it. They can push whatever reality they want on us. Before they couldn't. We had to read a book. We had to read a newspaper. We had to watch those 4 channels that they had for us to watch. And that was like slim picking. People were like, man, ain't nothing new on this shit. It's all old. Now they can create whatever they fucking want. Look at this stuff with the drones. Man, back in the day, we would have saw a light up in the sky. It was either a plane or a falling star. Now these people have gotten into demonic entities, aliens, attack from other nations, shit like that. Now when you look up in the sky and see a light flashing, motherfuckers don't think, ooh, how beautiful, how amazing. Now they thinking, oh shit, hide, run, hide. They're after us. You know what I'm saying? So now they can invoke fear upon large masses of people without even having to present a threat. See what I'm saying? These people can let 1,000 drones fly across the United States. As it's flying across the United States, they can listen to the hysterical people calling in on the internet, watching Twitter. Millions of people are going to respond. And you know what? Out of fear. Not out of amazement. That's amazing for your government to be able to, affect large numbers of people across the nation with the push of a button. It's amazing shit like that happens. But ain't nobody looking at that. Because if we looked at the fact that our government can push a button and make everybody in the nation, afraid of the unknown, then we would see how dangerous that shit is. Then we would see how dangerous that shit is. There are things put into history to warn us about the lies of history. And that's how we were able to discover that history was mostly lies. What are they putting on the internet to warn you about the deception of technology? What? These gatekeepers, these supposedly truthers that they can buy out. They can buy anybody on the internet. Anybody. The most faithfulest, content creator. The most truth-telling, truth-seeking content creators are being bought out on a daily basis to tell lies and deceive their followers. If you are in a group of subscribers and you unsubscribing doesn't affect the content, then guess what? You have there's no truth involved in it. If you can't disagree, if the group's not small enough for you to disagree and change the content that's being delivered, then you're not receiving the truth. You're being entertained because you can't affect the way things, are being delivered. We got some content creators that got over 1 million followers. You think if 100 or 1,000 of his followers decide that they don't want to be subscribed to him because he's putting out contradictory information, that they think that it would affect them? No, it don't work like that no more. It used to back in the day. Dropping a subscription from somebody used to affect them, but not today. You know why? Because we don't even know how subscribers are being made. You know what I'm saying? I've subscribed to hundreds of channels. I go back to look and see if I'm still subscribed. I'm not. They can remove you and subscribe you to people at will. They can put your subscription to use and you not even know it, man. So I'm just saying, these people have been doing this shit for a while, and they've been doing it with less technology than what we have today. With more technology, it's even easier. It's even easier. If they can create an algorithm that automatically connects you to people that are interested in the same thing you are, and we believe that it's fair and unbiased, then we're naive, man. We're naive. We're naive. Because if the internet is always on, or people are always on these platforms, there shouldn't be a block or a breakdown in communication. It should be a free-for-all. There should be so much information flowing through these airways that people can't help but, come across you. I mean, we got 300 million people in the United States. Every person that's creating content should have at least, 50 million, 60 million people. But why you don't, it's because you don't fit in the category. There's no reason why me going live right now have 3 to 4 people keep popping in and popping out of my chat. There's no such thing as that. If there's 3 or 4 people that can be brought into my chat, then there could be 300 or 400 people that can be brought into my chat. What's stopping the influx? What's stopping, people from coming in, even if they're not interested in it? Just it popping up on their feed like it does everybody else. Why? It's because that's your algorithm. What's up, bro? That's your algorithm. The algorithm is not there to connect you with other people. The algorithm is there to disconnect you from other people. Because, see, the algorithm is what makes your streams go viral, right? So wouldn't it be used the same way to make your streams not go viral, to not go anywhere? This is the technology that we used to have, that they've claimed and have ownership over now. You used to have the right to say whether or not you agreed with somebody or you didn't agree with somebody. Now you don't have the right. The algorithm took that away from you. And the only way you can compete in this environment is if you sacrifice a part of yourself. If you sacrifice your morals and listen to what other people tell you, then you too will be viral on these platforms. Meaning, like, they have people come and make videos showing you how to become viral, telling you how to stay within the guidelines. But there's nobody out there saying, hey, the further you get from the guidelines, the more truthful the information is. They're not telling you that. The further you get to becoming viral on this platform, the further you get away from your morals. Because now you have to check what you say. You have to make sure you use certain words, only report on certain content. When there's news channels, they can report anything on there. They can report lies. They can report. They talk about sexual immorality. They don't hold no punches. Talking about children being taken advantages of. Right? They'll put that out any day. Matter of fact, that's the whole thing that they're putting out about Diddy. And I've been a staunch objector to this shit that's happening with Diddy and Jay-Z. Because nobody actually knows what's going on. Nobody. They haven't had no court. They haven't done anything that's going to say that this man is in trouble for doing something other than what we all do. If he's up there paying for women to be shipped from across the United States to his home to have sex with him, well, to tell you the truth, ain't that the same thing that these passport bros be doing? These guys going over to these other countries to sleep with other people? So that right there can't be considered, human trafficking, because you're the one being trafficked, But flying a woman in used to be promoted back in the day. Flying a man in used to be promoted. They used to rap about it in the rap music. Y'all can't see the connection between all this shit. They're getting ready to destroy this shit. Don't be too invested in it. Find a new way to invest your time. Figure out how these guys are doing this music thing without being connected to the industry. See? And what you're doing is you're going from the fire or the pan into the fire, though. Because now your music can be blackballed without anybody doing it. Now it can be done algorithmically with the algorithm. Now they can blackball your music online. Spotify, all these places, man. That's why none of the music is uplifting. None of it's telling you exactly how to deal with society right now. I ain't heard no rapper talk about the deception of technology. None of them. They all talking about each other or music or money. And our biggest threat today is technology. Our biggest threat today is the way that they're moving our abilities to live naturally into this unnatural technical age. Believe it or not, people never had to utilize technology in order to survive like they do now. You cannot survive in this day and age without learning how to use the internet. There's just no way you can do it. What's coming next after that? If they get rid of the internet and you still have to use technology, and they say the only way to use it is if we implant this chip into your head. And then what you gonna do? All right, I need technology to live. And they cut out keyboards and mouses and fucking screens. Now, the only way you can access the internet, right? Here go our disk again, our AOL disk. And they're going to take the AOL out of it. And now it's just Neuralink. I don't even think it's Neuralink. I think Neuralink is just one of them. But that being said, they're going to take away your servers. The first implants are going to be private servers implanted into people's heads. Then everything after that, it's going to be servers that are going to be on rent, just like we are renting internet right now from every internet provider. So don't be that one that's being charged just to live. This internet shit, if you ain't making no money off of it, then you're being charged to live. If you're making money off the internet, then you're cutting even. You're cutting even. There's no way to beat the internet when that's the only way that you can use it. That's the only option you have. So to take back our freedom, we're gonna have to give up our pleasures. So y'all take it easy. I'm gonna holler at y'all in a little bit. Salutes to the real ones.